War for Cybertron is probably one of my favorite games of all time, with it being the first of the High Moon Cybertron games. I remember the only reason I didn't pre-order it when it came out was because my family went on vacation during the launch, so I thought I should take a look back at it, and see if it really is as good as I remember it. As always, let's start with the gameplay. War for Cybertron is a third-person shooter that is somewhat unique, because you play as Transformers, and that gives you the ability to switch between a robot mode and a vehicle mode. This gives you a lot of freedom in combat, as you can switch between the two modes at will, and unlike Rise of the Darkspark, the levels were actually designed with this in mind, and you can approach almost every fight in the game in whichever mode you wish, excluding the boss battles and set pieces. Although this does change things up from other games, when in robot mode, it plays pretty much like any other third-person shooter, but it did manage to avoid the trend of including a cover system, so the shooting isn't just sitting behind a chest-high wall and taking pot shots, and there's no generating health. But we weren't lucky enough to avoid turret sections. The controls are a little clunky, but that can be chalked up to the game being a console port, and a relatively bad one at that. But I'll mention more on that later. The game is linear, but there are secondary paths that can lead to hidden weapons, collectibles, and on occasion a vantage point. The game doesn't cater to just one playstyle, and gives you the ability to choose between 3 different characters at the start of every level. Each character has different weapons, special abilities, and vehicle modes. However, some characters are locked to specific stages. For example, for most of the game you won't be able to play as flying characters, as levels are balanced around your alt mode being a car. I understand why this was done, but I would like more opportunities to play as the Seekers or the aerial bots. The special abilities and weapons seem like they were designed without Transformers in mind, and characters were just given items randomly. For example, I don't remember Soundwave using force fields and wielding an assault rifle, or using sentry guns. And all the weapons besides Megatron's fusion cannon and the healing beam seem very typical of the genre, such as the aforementioned assault rifle, a 3-round burst scoped rifle, a sniper rifle, a shotgun, and a rocket launcher. However, the designs of the weapons fit right in with the characters, which are very reminiscent of G1. There are boss fights scattered throughout the levels, with the 2 most notable being the fights against Omega Supreme and Trypticon, which are put at the end of the Decepticon and Autobot campaigns respectively. While the bosses do a good job at changing up the gameplay and ending the campaigns with epic moments, they do seem out of place in a shooter and contain more bullshit than Dark Souls. To go along with the single player, there's also 2 multiplayer modes, a Call of Duty style PvP mode, and Horde. Despite what the menu will tell you, there's still a couple people playing the PvP, and it's a lot better than it deserves to be. It has custom loadouts and kill streaks like COD, but certain weapons and abilities are restricted to specific classes, and you can customize your appearance for each loadout. There are 4 classes total. The Scientist, which is a seeker/aerial bot that focuses on long-range combat and healing. The Scout, which focuses on close-range combat and maneuverability, although they do have access to the sniper rifle. And the last 2 classes both focus on mid to close-range combat, but both have very different playstyles. The Soldier is oriented towards dealing max damage, and they have the most health of all the classes. They are literal tanks. While the Leader is more focused on teamwork, having the abilities to buff teammates and put out deployable cover. Each class even has different kill streaks, ranging from the Scientist's health matrix, which heals your entire team, to the Leader's aptly named Punch of Kill Everything. The transforming mechanics is what really makes this mode shine, and besides its sequel there's really nothing else like it on the market. While the Horde mode is pretty typical. You face off against enemies from the campaign in solo or co-op, and as you kill enemies you earn points that you can spend on weapons, health, ammo, or character upgrades. The plot takes place fairly early in the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons, showing how Megatron brought Starscream and the other Seekers to his side, and his discovery of Dark Energon. We also see what caused the depletion of resources that result in the Transformers leaving Cybertron, and how Optimus rose to the ranks of the Autobots, eventually becoming a Prime and the bearer of the Matrix of Leadership. There are some plot holes in regards to the depiction of Dark Energon and its appearance in the show within the same continuity, Transformers Prime, but the blame for that lies solely on the writers of Prime and their inability to follow the established lore. Although, to be honest, I stopped caring about Transformers plots after I saw the episode where Galvatron moved Cybertron to Earth's orbit by building a giant jet engine.
Rip out their power packs! They need more
By far the biggest issues in this game come from the poor port. By default, the game is capped at 30 FPS. However, thankfully, a quick trip to the PC Gaming Wiki will reveal that there is a program that will uncap it. Just make sure to exclude it from your antivirus. However, a big issue with this is that the way the game was coded, having a frame rate higher than 30 causes textures to not load properly or load late, resulting in popping. This results in low-res textures, and the only fix is to either disable the uncapped frame rate or wait for them to load properly. Thankfully, the program has a hotkey to quickly disable and enable the frame cap though. And also, this problem gets worse as the frame rate goes up, so I would suggest using RivaTuner or Radeon Pro to cap the frame rate to 60. Also, this game has the same issue as Rise of the Darkspark with controls. You can't rebind keys or change presets for keyboard and mouse, and you can't disable aim assist. There are also very few graphics options, but more than in Darkspark. The graphics are alright if you take into account that the game came out in 2010 and was published by Activision, the king of bad ports. The textures are muddy by today's standards, facial animations are lacking even for the time, and there's not a lot of variety in the aesthetic of areas. But for representation of Cybertron, a planet whose main characteristic is that it's made of dull, grey metal, the graphics do a decent job and are more varied than expected. War for Cybertron is a good game that is let down by a bad port, but it's still worth playing besides its issues. You can also find it for very cheap as it frequently goes on sale, and even if you miss the sales, its full price is only $21.99. If you like shooters, it's a decent buy, but if you're a Transformers fan like me, then it's a must-have. Also, the abundant references to the G1 movie are a nice touch.
Spare me this mockery of justice!